Mr. Han, we have good news and devastating news. The surgeon's face was unreadable as Jisoo stood in the hospital corridor, holding a traumatized Kai. Your wife survived the surgery. But the baby. The doctor paused, and Jisoo felt his world tilting. We need to talk about what happens next, because there's something about your wife's condition you need to understand. If you missed part 1 and part 2, go watch them now. And hit that subscribe button, because part 3 is the final chapter of this emotional journey. You do not want to miss how their story ends. The surgeon led Jisoo to a private consultation room, his hands still shaking from almost losing Ava. Your wife is stable, but the knife wound caused severe damage near her uterus. We had to make an emergency decision during surgery. The doctor's voice was gentle but firm. We couldn't save the baby. She miscarried during the operation. I'm deeply sorry for your loss. Jisoo collapsed into a chair, the grief crushing his chest. Their daughter, gone before she ever took her first breath. Does Ava know? He whispered. The surgeon shook her head. She's still unconscious. There's more, Mr. Han. The damage to her reproductive system was extensive. The likelihood of her being able to carry another pregnancy to term is very low. You should both prepare for the possibility that Kai might be your only biological child together. The words hit like hammer blows. Not only had they lost their baby girl, but the chance of having more children was nearly gone too. When Jisoo was finally allowed into Ava's ICU room, he sat beside her unconscious form, holding her hand with Kai sleeping in a carrier beside him. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I failed to protect you both. But I swear, we'll get through this together. No matter how much it hurts, we face it together. 3 days later, when Ava finally woke up and learned the truth, her scream of anguish echoed through the hospital floor. Jisoo climbed into her bed, holding her as she sobbed uncontrollably. Our baby. Our little girl. Her grief was raw and devastating. For hours, they cried together, not as individuals but as one broken unit sharing unbearable pain. I'm here, Jisoo kept whispering. I'm not going anywhere. We survived this together, Ava. Together. The first month after the hospital was the darkest period of their lives. Ava struggled with depression, barely eating or speaking. But Jisoo never left her side. He took indefinite leave from his government consulting work to care for her and Kai. When she couldn't get out of bed, he brought her food and fed her gently. When nightmares woke her screaming, he held her until dawn. When she cried for their lost daughter, he cried with her. I feel so broken, Ava whispered one night. Like I failed as a mother. I couldn't protect her. Jisoo cupped her face tenderly. You didn't fail. Miho did this. The world did this. But you? You're the strongest person I know. You survived a knife wound while pregnant. You're healing from losing our child. You're still here, still fighting. That's not failure, that's courage. They started grief counseling together, both individual sessions and couples therapy. The counselor taught them how to communicate their pain instead of bottling it up. Ava learned to tell Jisoo when she was having bad days instead of hiding it. Jisoo learned to share his own grief instead of pretending to be strong for her. Slowly, painfully, they began to heal, not by forgetting their daughter, but by honoring her memory together. One afternoon 2 months after the loss, Ava suggested something unexpected. I want to plant a tree. In the garden. For her. A cherry blossom tree. Jisoo's eyes filled with tears. That's beautiful. They planted it together, Kai helping with his little shovel, not fully understanding, but knowing it was important. As they patted the soil around the small tree, Ava felt a tiny bit of peace for the first time. Their daughter would always be part of their family, remembered in beauty and life. 3 months after the tragedy, as Ava was finally starting to smile again and engage with life, an unexpected visitor appeared at their door. A young Korean woman, elegantly dressed, with eyes that looked hauntingly familiar. I'm Ji-yoon, she introduced herself. Miho's younger sister. I need to speak with you both about something important. Jisoo immediately stepped protectively in front of Ava, his body tense. If you're here for revenge, Ji-yoon held up her hands, tears in her eyes. No, I'm here to apologize and to warn you. Please, just 5 minutes of your time. Something in her desperate sincerity made Ava touch Jisoo's arm. Let's hear what she has to say. They sat in the living room with security guards nearby as Ji-yoon spoke, her voice breaking with emotion. I only recently learned the full extent of what my brother did to your family. The murder attempt, the kidnapping, your baby. She wiped tears away. I'm so deeply sorry. Miho and I were raised in a toxic environment that taught us power was everything. But I got away from that life, moved to Japan, tried to be different. When I heard he'd escaped prison and attacked you again, when I learned about your daughter's death, I was horrified. Ava's fists clenched. Why are you really here? Ji-yoon pulled out a folder. Because Miho had partners, 3 powerful men in the criminal underworld who helped him build his empire. They're planning to finish what he started, to eliminate your family as revenge for Miho being arrested. I have all their names, locations, evidence. I'm turning them in, but I needed to warn you first. You're still in danger. The evidence Ji-yoon provided was explosive. Names of high-ranking criminals, politicians on their payroll, detailed plans for attacks on Jisoo's family. Why betray them? Jisoo asked suspiciously. Ji-yoon looked at her hands. Because I'm pregnant. And when I found out, I thought about your wife losing her baby because of my brother's violence. I don't want my child growing up in a world where that kind of evil wins. I want to break the cycle. With Ji-yoon's testimony and evidence, Jisoo and the presidential security team launched a massive operation. We take them all down at once, the chief detective explained. Coordinated raids across Seoul, Busan, and Jeju Island. But we need you as bait one more time, Mr. Han. They'll come after you at the charity gala next week. We'll be ready. Ava's blood ran cold. Absolutely not. I'm not risking losing you. But Jisoo held her hands firmly. This is the only way to end this permanently. To make sure Kai grows up safe. To make sure no one else tries to hurt our family. I have to do this, Ava. They argued for hours, but finally Ava understood. Then I'm coming with you. We face this together. That's what we do now. We face everything together. The night of the gala, Ava wore a stunning red gown and stayed by Jisoo's side, both wearing hidden protective vests and communication devices. Kai was safe with Jisoo's mother in a secure location. As wealthy guests mingled and cameras flashed, the 3 assassins made their move. Poisoned champagne intended for Jisoo's glass. But undercover officers caught them in the act. Simultaneously, police raided locations across Korea, arresting all of Miho's remaining partners. By midnight, it was over. The criminal network that had terrorized their family for years was completely dismantled. With the threats finally eliminated, Ava and Jisoo could breathe freely for the first time in years. They sat on their balcony that night, watching the Seoul skyline twinkle with lights. It's really over, Ava whispered, hardly believing it. Jisoo pulled her close. It's over. Now we get to just live. Like normal people. No death threats. No fear. Just us, our son, and whatever future we build. They decided to take a family trip. Something they'd never been able to do without security concerns dominating every moment. They chose a beach resort in Thailand. Just the 3 of them and minimal security. Watching Kai play in the ocean, building sandcastles and laughing without a care in the world, made both parents cry with relief and joy. This is what I wanted for him, Ava said. A childhood full of happiness, not fear. On their last night in Thailand, as Kai slept peacefully, Jisoo and Ava walked along the moonlit beach. I've been thinking about what the doctor said. Ava began carefully. About probably not being able to have more children. Jisoo stopped walking and turned to her. Ava, listen to me. If we never have another biological child, I'm still the luckiest man alive. I have you. I have Kai. That's more than I ever dreamed possible. But Ava had been researching and thinking. What about adoption? Or surrogacy? I'm not ready yet. I need more time to heal from losing our daughter. But maybe someday, we could grow our family differently. Jisoo's face broke into a genuine smile for the first time in months. I would love that. Whenever you're ready, however we do it, I'm with you. Always. They kissed under the stars, tasting salt air and new hope. 6 months later, life had settled into a beautiful routine. Jisoo's government consulting work was thriving and completely safe, analyzing criminal networks from an office, not confronting them personally. Ava had started an art gallery in Seoul featuring both Korean and international Black artists, finally pursuing her dream career. Kai was enrolled in an international preschool and thriving. One morning, Ava woke up feeling nauseous. She ignored it, thinking it was something she ate. But when the nausea continued for a week, a strange suspicion grew in her mind. It's impossible, she told herself. The doctor said it was highly unlikely. But she bought a pregnancy test anyway, her hands shaking as she waited for the results in the bathroom. 2 pink lines. Positive. Ava stared in shock, hardly breathing. She was pregnant. Against all odds, despite the doctor's warnings, her body had healed enough to conceive again. Terror and joy warred in her heart. What if she lost this baby too? What if her body couldn't carry to term? But underneath the fear was hope, fragile and precious. She told Jisoo that evening after putting Kai to bed. "I'm pregnant," she whispered, showing him the test. Jisoo's face went through a dozen emotions: shock, fear, joy, wonder. "Are you sure? How?" Ava laughed and cried at the same time. "I have no idea. The doctor said it was nearly impossible, but here we are. Another miracle." They held each other, both terrified and grateful, knowing this pregnancy would be the most carefully monitored, most precious 9 months of their lives. Ava's doctor confirmed the pregnancy, but was very serious about the risks. "Given your previous trauma and the damage from the knife wound, this is extremely high risk. You'll need to be monitored constantly, frequent ultrasounds, possible bed rest in the 3rd trimester. There's a significant chance of complications." But when the doctor showed them the tiny heartbeat on the ultrasound, all the fear was worth it. This pregnancy was completely different from her first two. Ava was cautious with every movement, terrified of doing anything that might harm the baby. Jisoo became almost overprotective, barely letting her lift anything heavier than a book. "I'm pregnant, not made of glass," Ava protested one day. But she understood his fear. They'd lost one baby already. They couldn't bear to lose another. At 16 weeks, they learned they were having a girl. Ava burst into tears in the doctor's office. "A daughter. We're getting our daughter." But the joy was mixed with grief for the baby girl they'd lost. "Is it wrong to be happy?" Ava asked Jisoo that night. "Does it mean we're forgetting her?" Jisoo held her close. "No. It means we're honoring her by living fully, by loving again. Both our daughters, the one we lost and the one we're carrying, deserve our joy, not our guilt." The pregnancy progressed week by terrifying week. Every ultrasound where the heartbeat was strong brought tears of relief. Every day Ava made it further along felt like a victory. At 24 weeks, when the baby reached viability, they both cried with gratitude. At 30 weeks, when the doctor ordered bed rest for the final stretch, Ava complied without complaint. She would do anything to bring this baby safely into the world. At 37 weeks, Ava went into labor. The hospital room filled with medical staff. This wasn't going to be an easy delivery. Complications from her old injuries meant she'd need a C-section, and the doctors were prepared for any emergency. Jisoo held her hand as they wheeled her to surgery, his eyes full of love and fear. "You're the strongest person I know. You can do this." The surgery felt like it took hours, but was only 45 minutes. When the doctor lifted the baby and Ava heard her first cry, strong and loud and indignant, time stopped. "She's here. She's breathing. She's perfect," the doctor announced. Jisoo was crying openly as they cleaned the baby and brought her to Ava's chest. She was tiny but healthy, with a full head of black hair and furious little fists. "Hi, Maya Grace," Ava whispered, the name they'd chosen months ago. Maya after Ava's mother, Grace for the grace that had carried them through their darkest times. The baby calmed at her mother's voice, opening dark eyes that looked wise beyond her minutes of life. Jisoo touched his daughter's tiny hand with one finger, and she gripped it reflexively. "Welcome to the world, little one. You're so loved already." Back in the recovery room, with Maya sleeping in a bassinet beside them, Ava and Jisoo held hands and cried with relief and joy. "We did it," Ava whispered. "We survived everything and made it here." Kai was brought in to meet his baby sister, his eyes wide with wonder. "She's so small, Mama." He gently touched Maya's cheek. "I protect her forever." Jisoo lifted Kai up so he could see better. "We all protect each other. That's what families do." 3 months after Maya's birth, when she was healthy and thriving, they held a special family ceremony in their garden. Under the cherry blossom tree they'd planted for their lost daughter, they gathered with close friends and family for a dedication ceremony. Jisoo's mother had flown in from her retirement in Japan. Ava's aunt came from America. Jiyoon was there too, with her own newborn son. She'd kept her promise to break the cycle of violence. The ceremony was simple but deeply meaningful. They dedicated Maya to a life of love and peace, promising to raise her with strength and compassion. They also remembered their daughter they'd lost, lighting a candle and speaking her name aloud for the first time. "Grace Hope Han." "She was with us for only 3 months, Ava said, tears streaming down her face but her voice strong. "But she changed us forever. She taught us that life is precious and fragile. That love is worth fighting for." Jisoo added, and her little sister Maya carries her name and her spirit. Our two daughters, one in heaven and one in our arms, both deeply loved. Everyone released white balloons with messages written on them. Hopes and dreams and love sent up to the sky. As they watched the balloons disappear into the clouds, Ava felt a sense of peace finally settle over her wounded heart. After the ceremony, as guests mingled in the garden and Kai showed off his baby sister with adorable pride, Jiyoon approached Ava quietly. "Thank you for allowing me to be here. After what my family did to yours." Ava surprised them both by hugging her. "You chose differently. You broke the cycle. That takes courage. Our children will grow up knowing that people can change, that forgiveness is possible, that love is stronger than hate." When Maya was 6 months old, sitting up and laughing at everything Kai did, Jisoo came home with an unexpected proposal. "The Korean president wants me to take a bigger role in the government, Minister of Justice position. It would mean more responsibility, more public visibility, but also more power to change systems that create criminals like Miho in the first place." Ava listened carefully, remembering all the nights they'd spent discussing how to prevent other families from suffering like they had. "What does your heart say?" she asked. Jisoo looked at their children playing on the living room floor. "My heart says I want to make Korea safer for them, for all children. But I won't take the position if you're not comfortable. You and the kids come first. Always." They talked for hours, weighing the pros and cons. Finally, Ava made her perspective clear. "I think you should do it. You've survived the darkness. Now use what you learned to create light. I'm proud of you, Jisoo. The man you've become is nothing like the scared, controlling man I first met. You've transformed." Jisoo pulled her close. "Because you transformed me. You taught me what real strength looks like." Jisoo accepted the position, becoming the youngest Minister of Justice in Korean history. His first major initiative? Creating support systems for children in criminal families, breaking cycles of violence before they started. "My cousin Miho was raised in toxicity and became a monster," Jisoo said in his first press conference. "But it didn't have to be that way. We can change outcomes by changing environments." His work began making real differences, and Ava had never been prouder. 2 years later, Ava stood in her thriving art gallery, preparing for the biggest exhibition of her career. A show featuring emerging Black artists from around the world, the first of its kind in Seoul. The Korean art community had embraced her vision, and tonight's opening would include the president, international ambassadors, and collectors from around the globe. She was nervous but exhilarated. As guests began arriving, Jisoo appeared in a sharp suit with Kai, now 7, and Maya, now 2, dressed adorably. "We're your cheering section," Jisoo said, kissing her cheek. "Your dream is happening, Ava. Look what you built." She looked around at the gallery walls covered in stunning art, at the diverse crowd gathering, at her family beaming with pride, and felt overwhelming gratitude. During her welcome speech, Ava spoke from her heart. "5 years ago, I came to Korea as a scared young mother with a baby, unsure if I belonged anywhere. I'd lost my parents. I was alone. But this country, this complicated, beautiful place, gave me a family. It gave me love. It gave me purpose." She looked at Jisoo. "It gave me everything. So this gallery is my love letter to Korea and to the dream that we can all find home wherever love exists." The exhibition was a massive success, with pieces selling and international media covering the groundbreaking show. But Ava's favorite moment came at the end of the night when Kai, looking at a painting of a mother and child, said thoughtfully, "Mama, that looks like you and Maya." Ava knelt down to his level. "What do you think the painting is saying?" Kai studied it seriously. "That love is the most beautiful art." Ava hugged him tight, tears in her eyes. "You're exactly right, baby. Love is the most beautiful art of all." 5 years after that first miraculous night in New York, Ava and Jisoo renewed their wedding vows in a beautiful ceremony that celebrated how far they'd come. This time, there was no secret agenda, no legal traps, no fear, just pure love and commitment. Kai and Maya were part of the ceremony, standing with their parents as they promised forever to each other once again. "When I met you," Jisoo said during his vows, his voice thick with emotion, "I was broken in ways I didn't even understand. You didn't just give me a son. You gave me hope, purpose, the courage to become better. You survived my mistakes, my world's violence, unimaginable loss, and you're still here. Still loving me. That's not luck, Ava. That's grace. You are my grace." Ava's vows made everyone cry. "You were my unexpected miracle. My one night of magic that became a lifetime of love. We've walked through fire together, Loss, betrayal, violence, grief. We've lost and we've found. We've broken and we've healed. And through it all, you never gave up on us. Jisoo, you're not the man I met 5 years ago. You're better. You're my partner, my best friend, the father of my children, and the keeper of my heart. Forever isn't long enough, but it's a good start. As they kissed and their children cheered, as friends and family celebrated around them, Ava looked at the cherry blossom tree in the garden, now taller and full of blooms. She thought of their daughter in heaven, of their children on earth, of every painful step that had led to this moment of joy. She thought of that scared girl arriving in Seoul 2 years ago with a baby and a broken heart, never imagining this future. That evening, after guests had left and children were asleep, Ava and Jisoo sat in their garden under the stars. "Do you ever think about that night in New York?" Jisoo asked. "About how everything started?" Ava smiled. "All the time. One night changed everything. One miracle led to another. If I could go back and change anything." She paused and Jisoo tensed, afraid of her answer. "I wouldn't change a single thing," Ava finished firmly. "Not the pain, not the loss, not the fear. Because all of it led us here. To this garden, this family, this love. Every scar we carry is proof that we survived. That we chose each other again and again. That love really can conquer everything." Jisoo pulled her close, breathing in her familiar scent, feeling complete in a way he'd never imagined possible. "Thank you," he whispered, "for giving me everything. For being my miracle." Ava looked up at the stars and made a silent promise to their daughter in heaven. "We made it. We survived. We're happy. And we'll never forget you." Then she turned back to Jisoo, the love of her life, her partner through every storm, and kissed him deeply. Their story had begun with an impossible miracle, a baby conceived when doctors said it was impossible. It had survived betrayal, violence, loss, and grief. And it had emerged stronger, deeper, more beautiful than either of them had dreamed. Some love stories are perfect from the start, but theirs was real, messy and painful and hard one. And that made it the most beautiful story of all. Years later, when Kai and Maya were older and asked how their parents met, Ava and Jisoo would share their story, the whole complicated, beautiful truth. "We found each other in darkness," Jisoo would say. "And we chose to create light together," Ava would finish. And their children would understand that real love isn't about perfect beginnings. It's about choosing each other every single day, through every challenge, forever. And that's the beautiful conclusion of Jisoo and Ava's incredible journey. From one impossible night to a lifetime of choosing love over fear, they proved that real strength is found in facing darkness together. They lost, they grieved, they survived, and they built something beautiful from the ashes. What was your favorite moment from all 3 parts? Which scene made you cry the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We love hearing from you. If this story touched your heart, smash that like button. Share with anyone who believes in the power of true love. And subscribe for more emotional stories that will have you crying happy tears. Thank you for going on this entire journey with us. Until next time, remember, some miracles are worth fighting for, and love is the greatest miracle of all.